On Wednesday, September 10th, 2025, on the feast of St. Nicholas of Tolentine, the patron saint of the Holy Souls in Purgatory, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Many people have needed several days to even process what this could possibly mean for our country, but also have been mourning the tragedy for his own family. First, I'd like to offer my sincerest condolences to the Kirk family, to his wife, to his children. How do we get here? Why do people do this? Elon Musk recently retweeted a photo that I found very interesting because it explains what has been going on in this country since at least the year 2008. It's a picture of a political spectrum. You have the right and you have the left, and you have three stick figures. You have one conservative on the far right who stays consistent between the years 2008 and 2025, exactly where he is, what he believes, remaining consistent. On the top line, the year 2008, you have two figures left of the center. The one in the middle, that is still left of the center, also, like the conservative, stays in the exact same spot with the exact same beliefs. However, the stick figure on the far left gradually moves further and further and further to the left, affecting where the center lies. As you can see, now by 2021, the middle stick figure, which was previously on the left, is now on the right. And in the year 2025, with the stick figure laying down with a rifle, has changed the political spectrum dramatically. They see themselves as mere left, and they see the conservative that was very close to the center, more or less in the year 2008, as a radical extremist right wing. It looks like somewhat of a genius plan, because you can't convert those on the right of the political spectrum towards more to the center or to the left. What you can do, however, is radicalize the left so that there are those that are progressives that end up finding themselves right of center, shifting the Overton window. So you couldn't change the conservatives, but you could change the right by moving the center further to the left. And the way you do that is by radicalizing people on the left. But who are these people that are radicalizable on the left? Where do they come from? Where do we find them? In the Communist Manifesto, Karl Marx explains that one of the obstacles for his economic plan of communism is the nuclear family. So he explicitly explains and states that the nuclear family, father, mother, and children, needs to be destroyed. After the assassination of Charlie Kirk, many people were flabbergasted why so many liberals, so many progressives were celebrating someone's brutal murder, someone being widowed, children being orphaned. How could you celebrate such an event? Many people thought, oh, maybe because I'm a mother or I'm a father, I can sympathize, thinking that my children, they would grow up without a parent. But the reality is, I don't have children, yet I sympathize greatly. Why? Because I have parents. I am a son. You only need to have experienced parents that love you to consider what life would have been like growing up without one of them, without the love of my father, without the love of my mother. One only needs to have experienced loving parents growing up to sympathize with those children of that being unjustly taken away from them. So where do these people, these radical progressives who are willing to assassinate somebody, where do they come from? I think the issue is precisely here. Their parents. Their parents. I was speaking with someone who grew up in a relatively decent family. His parents grew up very poor, but they believed in the American dream. They believed in going to college and getting their education, working hard, starting a business, and ultimately these parents became millionaires. Now this child, their son, has become a radical woke leftist. And when I was talking to him, usually when someone rejects the Catholic faith, it's for one of two reasons. One, it's because they don't like the sixth commandment. And two, mommy and daddy issues. Those two things are usually the root cause of someone apostatizing from the Catholic faith. Now his parents dedicated much of their lives to the material, financial growth. They sought status. They sought bigger, nicer houses, nice car, money in the bank account, to go from nothing to millionaires. They sought it. They pursued it. But when that becomes the goal of your life, when that becomes your identity, it affects the way you treat, you love your children. This woke progressive leftist explicitly stated that he hated his parents and that he hated the nuclear family because the family he grew up with, he hated it. He hated his experience growing up in this nuclear family. Father, mother, a brother, normal by our normal standards. Very normal. Nice house, nice cars, as I said. But eating him alive was that anger of his experience growing up, that anger towards his parents. He wanted to be the exact opposite of what his parents always hoped he would be. The exact opposite of what his parents always hoped he would be. Particularly to spite them. To spite them. Charlie Kirk had a family. He preached to the younger generations that they should get married and have children, that this is where happiness is. Charlie Kirk stood for the nuclear family. But for one person who hates the nuclear family, who doesn't have loving parents, who doesn't care about not having the love of a parent growing up because they themselves were lacking it, this resentment radicalizes. This resentment radicalizes. All this to say, the real problem here isn't politics, it's parenting. It's a love of the parents for their children, not pursuing careers, material gains, rising in status, but rather the primary purpose of your life, if you get married and have children, should be to love your children. Should be to love your children. But for many secular families, of course, this doesn't exist. Maybe even many Protestant, even Catholic families, this isn't their primary goal, because the spiritual life means nothing to any of these people. Getting to heaven means nothing to any of these people. All they want is a status. All they want is to rise in class, because what they're pursuing is status. What they're pursuing is money in their bank account. If this is the primary goal of their life, what they're sacrificing is time with their children, love for their children. I don't know if the media or the authorities are ever going to pursue this sort of line of investigation, but it would be really interesting to find out the parents of the shooter and whether or not they were actually on the right, in the sense that part of the shooter's radicalization was to spite his parents because he didn't feel loved, and therefore he wanted to be more and more left, precisely to be more and more spiteful of his parents, to be the exact opposite, to fight for the things that his parents themselves hated, because he hated his parents, because he lacked the love he needed as a child. So ultimately, this is why Charlie Kirk was right about something in particular, that the cure for society, the cure for all the ills in society, is to love God and to love your family.